Let's start off today with the fact that today is an election day. Being from Colorado, I'm able to fill out my ballot and turn it in weeks ahead of time. So I've been able to wear my I voted sticker for quite a while now. Other places that have not yet figured out that it's really efficient to be able to look up all of the candidates and issues on your computer or phone and fill out your ballot in the ease of your own home will allow people to vote at polling places, something that I haven't had to do for over a decade. Except for one of the reasons that I'm inspired in my Defiance today, which is that in New Jersey there were a number of bomb threats that were called into polling places. And what seems to be an effort to disenfranchise these voters, it has caused a lot of chaos and confusion. Polling places should be one of the safest locations imaginable. And the only reason why these bomb threats have been called in is to make it harder for people to vote, to make it harder for people to make their voices heard. And this is something that gnaws at the quiet trust that we have in our institutions, that we can safely vote for the leaders of our choosing. Now, I want to be super clear. I am not advocating for there to be a federal or even statewide police presence at all of these voting centers. Rather, I would like to encourage all of the people within the community to help make it safe. You do this by showing up, by volunteering to be poll workers, by supporting one another in doing your civic duty. While ultimately I don't think that this will succeed because bomb threats are not actual bombs, it is clear that this is a case of escalating political violence or the threat of political violence. And the second article that I'm inspired by shows just how deep this goes. In a new poll that just came out, a significant proportions of Americans say that political violence is okay in some circumstances. Now, obviously, that begs the question of what circumstances those might be, but anyone who is okay with political violence being the way in which we solve our problems has gone too far down the path of excluding conversation, commitment to one another, and community as the solution. The shared humanity that I feel for others while I am out in the world, while I am sitting at my home, is massive. And the idea that we cannot commit to that shared humanity, but rather need violence as the solution for our problems is hugely worrying. We are going to have disagreements on policy. We are going to disagree about why the government is shut down or who deserves to have SNAP benefits or why the ACA was a bad or good idea. But those are substantive disagreements on policy, and we can have those. We don't have to make them charged with violence. And when you open yourself up to the idea that it is okay to use guns to enforce what you think the future of the country should be, you have already lost the argument. This is how we get to dictatorship. This is how we get to a totalitarian state. And I want to be super clear that this is not inevitable. It is not inevitable that we will have to turn to violence in order to elect the leaders that we want. It is not inevitable that we have to listen to our echo chambers on social media. We can turn them off whenever we want to. And to peel back the curtain a little bit of the way that I think about it, I believe that everyone should be engaged in doing writing. Even if you are not good at it, the ability for you to write out your thoughts, why you believe them, and convince yourself that you are correct about the things you believe. If you're able to do that level of reflection, to understand why it is that you see violence as the only answer, I think a lot of people would draw back from the brink. That level of self-analysis, of being able to write out your ideas and share them with yourself, with your conscious mind, not writing a post for Facebook or Twitter, but rather a post for yourself, something that doesn't go to anyone. My own personal preference is to use a typewriter of some fashion, but a lot of people like doing it by hand. The idea is to have a distraction-free writing device, a way in which to understand yourself without the distraction of other people trying to get into your head. And that's one of the ways that we come back from this. It's one of the ways that we can move forward. Because if we know what we singularly believe, and we are able to stand on our own footing to understand why it is that we want so badly for the future to look like what we want, then coming together as committed individuals who are pursuing one another in good faith, that it will have a far higher likelihood of working. And finally, I'm actually inspired by the fact that the Supreme Court will finally decide whether or not Donald Trump is able to impose the tariffs that he has already put on Americans. Even though it is abundantly clear that these tariffs have made prices higher for everyday people, it's still going to take the businesses taking him to court in order to finally solve for it. Now, I don't put a lot of faith in the fact that this Supreme Court is going to curtail the powers that Donald Trump has taken for himself. I do think that it is important that these businesses are making the case in front of the Supreme Court that these tariffs are a terrible idea and were not properly done. The legislative branch has the ability to impose tariffs. The president does not. And I really hope that at some point, the highest court in the land is going to tell Donald Trump no, is going to hold up the Constitution and make it clear that we have co-equal branches of government and not a king. These tariffs were framed as a way of protecting the national interests, but they have done everything but that. The tariffs themselves are silent taxes on families, on individuals who are having trouble making it, and they are going to fund things like ICE detention centers and a huge increase in defense spending. It is my hope that at some point, the legislature will wake up and take back the power that Donald Trump has subsumed from them. It is my hope that the Supreme Court will take back the power of the Constitution and stand up for what it actually says. It is my hope that this is the week that we claw back some of the control from a would-be dictator. If you have made it this far in the video, you clearly like what I'm doing here or hate it enough to watch it all the way through. Please do subscribe to the channel or like the video, as it really does encourage me to keep on making them. I hope that all of us can be inspired in our defiance together.